Hello the internet and welcome back. I want to talk a little bit today about the Ark Ranger Black, the new Power Ranger we got, where she is on the tier list, why she's there. I want to talk a little bit about how to properly build her as well, some extra damage reference we were running so you guys can see why she's there on the tier list, and once again how to build her in terms of gear, skills, cube, and even team compositions, and what type of boopers will be working with her. Right, so that's it for a quick reference before we go into how to build her. At the moment for B3s, she is a tier 3 character for both meta and also for the assets. Great Ash, but not enough jiggle, sadly. Now I am considering the tier 2 because Ark Ranger is on the same situation as Quincy, on the same situation as Milk Bunny, same situation as even Soda nowadays for the shotgun team, or even Aim for electric content. They are all great damage dealers, but you only use them on specific team compositions, right? And outside of that, you really don't see them. Like even if I open Quincy and Ain as well, or even Isabel, I think Isabel could also be having, do we consider the same situation where you see them on specific elements and that's it, never again. You might use them in tower for specific bosses, but even in tower, it's rare to see them. For Union Raid, the current Union Raid is finished, and I didn't see anyone running, or not many people actually running Ark Ranger at high level. So, in my opinion, the T3 works, but I can't see her in T2. I can actually see her moving up, depending what happens after the next solo raid. Because again, the same thing applies for Bunny Milk, for Quincy, for Soda, for Ain. All of those characters are in the same situation as the Ark Ranger Black. Now, that's why she is there. Right, so once again, take it for now as a reference, T3/T2. I will be leaving the message here for now, the early review still with, and then after the next solo raid, we will remove this and see if it's worth moving her up or not. That said, let's jump directly after that into some damage number comparisons and how to properly build Ark Ranger. So these damage numbers is simply to illustrate a little bit more on that, why I think she deserves that tier 2 rating. This is Union Range. Nice voice crack. This is Union Range. Super basic team, hyper buffing 1 DPS, and is Star Crown, Helm Privacy, and it will be benefiting rocket launchers way more than other types of characters, but it's still a nice reference. And this is, for the love of God, just a basic reference. Don't use it as a best team or anything. Also, this is a boss without parts, but to compensate, my Ark Ranger has pretty good lines. 81% elemental, 22% attack. It's not perfect, but it's better than most characters here. Bro, my diesel is so awful on lines. I have no rocks, and the Ark Ranger ate, I think it was like 50 rocks. I am hooked, guys. That's it. So, like I was saying, right? Doro is doing 12 billion there. Diesel 8.7, even with awful lines. Diesel is so good. Ark Ranger doing 7.5 on a boss without parts with pretty good elemental. Raven with 87% on 11% attack, doing 13 billion as well. And then Ain 7.6, but then again, really bad elemental at 47 and only 11% attack. So if we were to compensate and put all of them at the same elemental slash attack, as you guys can see, they're going to be in a pretty similar situation when it comes to Ark Ranger and Ain, while Raven, Diesel, and Doro are better characters, right? And this is again on a boss with without parts, so our Ark Ranger can actually benefit from this to be taking advantage of her kit and fully sustain the transformation, right? So really good result overall when we've been running her here, when we've been running her on Union Raid, and on Kraken and different bosses. If you guys want to see proper team compositions, check my video from a couple days ago, right here, this one. The first impressions of the Ark Ranger. That should have a few team compositions in there. That said, let's talk about how to properly build her and what I would be recommending right now. For skills, I would be recommending a 777, and the reason is simple. The extra levels are good, the 10 is great, but it's only for tryhards. And a 444, you can say it makes sense, but at the same time, why would you even bother bringing a character for raids at the 444 for a DPS specifically, right? So on a skill 1, we're getting a huge self-attack buff, only while dual transform, right? So that's pretty good. This means at level 7 is a 134, and level 10 156. Level 7 is pretty good, 134 is fantastic self-attack buff. And when it comes to skill 2, it's the same thing. We're getting a sustained damage buff, 56% at level 4, 66 at level 7, 77 at level 10. 10% each, give or take, a little bit more, a little bit less, per breakpoint, so 4, 7, 10. Once again, level 7 is more than enough. If you really like her, if she's your waifu, you could be going for level 10, and this will apply on every rotation, which is pretty nice. And then her burst, same situation, level 7 is a pretty good sustained damage buff at 117 at level 10. This is a 135 at level 4, a 98. This is a good stopping point. Also will be dealing more damage in here, 230%. At level 10 is a 266, which, you know, you could be going for like a 7, 10, 10, and that would be pretty nice, but I think it's way too expensive to be going past 777. To me, 777 works fine. That's what I will be keeping her for future solo raids. When it comes to her build for cubes and overload gear, her cube, obviously, since this is a character that works with sustained damage and parts, is going to be the best cube. Is going to be Distraction. Well, to be fair, Distraction is one of the best cubes for any DPS as long as you can take advantage of it or the damage to parts. If not, then it's not that good. If you cannot take advantage, or it's a stage with more mobs than a pure boss, right, then you would go with Bastion, or you will be going for Resilience. Either of them works, whatever you have higher level or the extra stats, nothing else, right? So the basic cubes. And for the gear, the same thing applies. This is a really basic character. You only want elemental damage, you only want attack. Those are your main lines, like every character in the game. And then for filler, you want hit rate and crit. Hit rate and crit damage. Those are great filler lines. If you can get max ammo, that works. But I don't think you need more than one line of max ammo. This is a character with 60 bullets, 1 second reload. It's not a Scarlet with 20 bullets, right? So using Bastion or having Resilience or having a reload speed buffer on your team, it's more than enough. You should be fine going for hit rate and crit instead for her gear, just to increase her damage output even more, right? So super basic build. Now, also important, and before we talk about pros and cons, this is a character that, since she has such a high self-attack buff, I would suggest you guys pair her with a character that can give attack damage instead. Now, if you cannot sustain her transformation, her skill 1, any character, even with attack buffs, will help her. But if you can sustain transformation, you are better off going for attack damage, because she already gets sustained damage buffs. She already gets a lot of attack. So attack damage will benefit her a lot more when we talk about B1s and B2s, as to what characters will be paired with her and will be increasing her damage quite a bit. Okay? So that's just a quick incision in there. Now, to go into the pros and cons, this is a pretty simple character, I will say. So great damage output as long as you can maintain her transformation by destroying parts. Plug and play DPS even outside of bosses with parts, since she has pretty good damage on stages with a lot of enemies as well, thanks to her skill 2, where, you know, it's appearing to apply the sustained damage to every enemy. It's pretty good damage. I've been using her in tower to push over the last few stages that were wind weak. For some reference on my tower, my manufacturer towers are not pushed, but my main tower we are on 14-10. And when I was using her before, these last couple of days, she's been doing well. But well is not enough in tower at high deficit that I would run her over just my Liberalia and my SBS. Like, there is no situation where Liberalia SBS is not your best win combo. Like, no situation, right? Unless you went for a core 7 Wazuka and invested, you know, 400 rocks into her. That's like the only play where I will say, yeah, sure, do not run SBS Liberalia. But even there, can be used on Teta Tower, thanks to that. Since there is a lack of good B3 DPS units in there. This heavily depends on your roster, obviously. But if we talk about Tetra, and we talk about B3s, there is not that many options to be running in tower. You have your Alice, probably. You have the new Black Ranger, which completely dethrones Sakura. You have Bunny Milk if you mono her, Breedy depending on your supports, and then your Ludmilla as a debuffer, more than a pure DPS, but, you know, even for water stages, she can be used there. So even for tower, I think she's a great character. For campaign, you can use her, but there are just better alternatives. Like I said earlier, SBS and Liberalia are just too good. She can be used as a buffer for assault rifle wind units. Now, this is not only an extra, but also cope, because this purely depends on shift up and what they want to be releasing next. So it's a good character. Maybe in the future we even get more usage if they release another B3 wind sustained damage character that has an assault rifle, but for now that's purely copy, right? And then without parts or bosses to maintain her buffs, her damage files quite a bit, but quite a bit doesn't mean she has no damage. Like I said earlier, and you guys saw on Figma, she has great damage output. She can remain competitive by today's standards, so that's why she's a T3/T2 character for now. And then, you know, shift up, where is the jiggle? Because there is no jiggle here on this character. And you bastards have butchered the assets. Okay, where is the jiggle? Shift up. What it is? That's it. That's basically for pros and cons. We can also talk a little bit about the synergies and notes. She can be used outside bosses with parts and still have a pretty decent damage output, but it's mostly a bossing / Tetra Tower character at the moment. You could take her to 10-10-10, but feels super expensive for what she has to offer right now. To me, it's a 7-7 character and a pretty good one at that. Now, that said, do let me know if you guys think she should be a T2 character right off the bat, or we should be waiting until the next solo raid to see where she truly belongs. For now, I think the T3 is fine, but like I said earlier, both her and Isabel could actually be getting, you know, that T2 spot. That's it. That's everything for this one. As usual, we are live every single day, so links in the description for everything and also for the website. Good luck with your pool, the edits, and I'll see you in the next one.